Most people think manifestation is about wishing and waiting. It's not. It's about becoming. It's about aligning who you are with what you want. Your dreams aren't waiting for the perfect timing. They're waiting for you to take responsibility for them. Every extraordinary life begins with an ordinary person who decided they were no longer going to ignore the pull inside them, the pull toward more, meaning toward contribution, toward their vision. This isn't about luck. It's not about talent. It's about being intentional. The life you want already exists. You just haven't aligned with it yet. Manifestation doesn't begin with action. It doesn't begin with a vision board or a motivational podcast. It begins with clarity, true, deep, honest clarity. And that's the part most people skip, because clarity requires introspection. It demands stillness. It calls for the courage to confront what you really want, not what others expect of you, not what you think sounds impressive, but what makes you come alive. If you don't start there, then everything you build is based on a false foundation. You'll work hard and still feel empty. You'll achieve success and wonder why you're still restless, because you never got clear. Clarity isn't just about setting goals, it's about setting the right goals. It's not about chasing what's popular, it's about choosing what's personal. You can't manifest a life that's misaligned with your truth. You'll sabotage it. You'll resist it. You'll be so disconnected from it that even if you get it, it won't fulfill you. That's why the first and most powerful step is to ask yourself, what do I want, really? What do I want? Not what's convenient, not what's safe. What do I want? This is where most people stumble. They either don't know the answer, or they're afraid to say it out loud, because the truth can be intimidating. What if your real dream feels too big? What if it means letting go of who you've always been? What if it offends the people you love? Clarity can be uncomfortable, but it is the gateway to transformation. It's the first time you take responsibility for your future. It's where the dream begins to breathe. Clarity brings focus. Without it, you're scattered, you're reactive, you bounce from idea to idea, trying to figure it out as you go. That's not strategy, that's survival. Manifestation doesn't work in chaos, it needs structure. And clarity creates that structure. It becomes your internal compass, your North Star. It filters your decisions, it gives meaning to your actions. Without clarity, you spend your life solving the wrong problems and climbing the wrong ladders. Clarity simplifies your world. It helps you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. And that's where real progress begins. Because clarity doesn't just eliminate confusion. It eliminates distraction. It eliminates comparison. When you know what's yours to build, you stop looking over your shoulder. You stop envying other people's timelines. You stop doubting your path, because your path is rooted in your truth. And let's be honest, clarity doesn't show up by accident. It's not something you stumble into on a casual walk. It's something you create. You create it by asking hard questions. You create it by slowing down long enough to listen. You create it by writing down your thoughts, by reflecting on your values, by observing your emotional responses to the life you're living right now. Where do you feel drained? Where do you feel energized? What moments leave you feeling most like yourself? Clarity lives in those patterns. And if you take time to look for them, you'll begin to understand what your heart's been trying to tell you all along. It's not that you lack ambition, it's that you've been trying to be everything to everyone. But when you're clear, you stop trying to be more. You start becoming you. That's the energy that fuels manifestation. Not pressure, not urgency. But alignment. When you're aligned, your vision has power. It becomes magnetic. And you don't have to push as hard to make things happen, because you're finally pulling from the right source. Clarity turns vague desires into specific intentions. And specificity is everything in manifestation. When you're vague, you confuse your subconscious mind. You confuse the people who might want to help you. But when you're clear, the world begins to organize around your clarity. People take you seriously. Opportunities find you. Ideas flow more freely. It's not magic. It's alignment. When you're clear about what you want, every cell in your body moves in that direction. This doesn't mean you'll have all the answers. Clarity isn't certainty, it's direction. It's saying, this is the path I'm choosing and I'm going to walk it fully. The clarity might evolve. That's okay. But without a starting point, there is no journey. You can't steer a parked car. You have to start moving, and clarity is the ignition. So if you're struggling to manifest the life you want, don't look outside yourself. Don't blame the market or your past or the people who don't believe in you. Start by getting clear. Sit with yourself. Ask the hard questions. Write until the truth shows up. Cry if you need to. Let go if it doesn't belong. And once that clarity comes, protect it. Nurture it. Build your habits, your decisions, your schedule, and your life around it. If you wait for the world to give you permission, you'll be waiting forever. If you wait for the perfect sign, the right timing, the complete certainty that everything will work out before you begin, then you're not manifesting. You're hesitating. And hesitation is the silent killer of potential. The truth is, your dreams don't begin with evidence. They begin with belief. Belief comes first, always. It's easy to believe when the path is clear. It's easy to commit when you already have the results. But that's not belief. That's observation. Real belief is choosing to trust the possibility of your vision, even when there's no proof it will work, even when no one else understands it, even when the world around you says, be realistic. And that's the hardest part, because belief asks you to lean into uncertainty with conviction. Every innovation, every movement, every great business, every masterpiece started the same way with someone who believed in something that didn't exist yet. Think about that. The greatest things we admire today came from people who decided to believe before there was a single reason to. The plane was once an impossible idea. So was electricity. So was the internet. These weren't created by people who had evidence. They were created by people who had belief. And yet, we're trained to do the opposite. We're trained to seek proof. We're told to be logical. We're taught to follow what's been done, not what could be done. That conditioning keeps people trapped in small versions of themselves. Because dreams, by definition, are irrational. They exist in a future that hasn't happened yet. If you only move when the path is clear, then you're not dreaming, you're managing expectations. Manifestation starts with belief because belief shapes your behavior. It influences how you show up. It shifts your energy. It directs your focus. The person who believes walks differently. They speak differently. They act with a quiet urgency, a silent knowing. Even if things aren't working yet, they keep going. Because belief is what sustains you through the doubt, through the resistance, through the silence when nothing seems to be happening. What you believe about your future determines how you experience your present. If you believe your best days are behind you, your actions will reflect that. If you believe your greatest work is ahead of you, you'll move with intention. You'll treat your time like it matters. You'll say no to distractions. You'll stay ready because you're expecting something greater. This isn't about blind faith. It's about building a belief system rooted in your vision, valued in your potential. And belief is something you can strengthen. It's like a muscle. Every time you take action in the direction of your dream, even when you're scared, you're reinforcing belief. Every time you keep going after a setback, you're reinforcing belief. Every time you speak your vision out loud, journal it, visualize it, or take responsibility for it, you're teaching your brain to trust that it's possible. Belief is also contagious. People don't follow ideas, they follow belief. They follow energy. They follow someone who speaks with conviction, who shows up consistently, who doesn't flinch in the face of doubt. You don't need to convince the world to believe in your dream. You just need to believe in it enough to get started. Because when you do, you give others permission to do the same. That's how leaders are born. Not by having all the answers, but by having enough belief to take the first step. Belief creates momentum. It pulls you forward when motivation fades. And eventually it creates evidence. That's the paradox. We think evidence builds belief. But in reality, belief is what generates evidence. Belief gets you to make the call. Belief gets you to write the book. Belief gets you to build the product, pitch the idea, train for the race. And over time, the results start to show. Not because you were sure, because you were committed. The danger is when we outsource belief, when we wait for someone to endorse our dream, or when we only take action if we're guaranteed success. That mindset doesn't lead to manifestation, it leads to regret. Because the people who change the world are the ones who move first. They bet on themselves when no one else will. They don't need permission. They don't need proof. They start with belief, and the rest follows. So if you're wondering where to start, start there. Not with a plan, not with a mentor, not with a strategy deck. Start with belief. Start by deciding, this is who I am, this is what I'm building, this is the future I'm committed to. And when that belief is real, when it's felt in your bones, you'll be surprised how quickly the evidence begins to appear. You can't grow roses in concrete. You can plant the seed, you can water it, you can give it all the care in the world, but if the soil is wrong, nothing will grow. The same is true for your dreams. It's not just about mindset. It's not just about discipline. Your environment plays a massive role in whether your vision thrives or dies. It either nurtures your growth or chokes it. It either breathes life into your belief or quietly convinces you to give up. Your environment is not passive, it's active. It's either working for you or against you every single day. We often underestimate the impact of our surroundings. We think our environment is just the backdrop of our lives, but really it's the foundation. It shapes our habits, it influences our mood, it directs our energy, and it determines our standards. If you surround yourself with people who settle, you'll start to lower your own expectations. If you live in a space that feels chaotic, your mind starts to mirror that chaos. If your conversations are rooted in gossip, complaints, or fear, don't be surprised when your dreams start to shrink. The reason many people struggle to manifest their dreams has less to do with their ambition and more to do with their environment. They've never questioned the influence it's having on them. They've never paused to ask, is this helping me become the person I'm trying to be? That's a hard question because it forces you to confront comfort. It forces you to evaluate relationships, routines, even your physical space. And it may require change, not just internally, but externally. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your environment. And if your environment is constantly pulling you back to old patterns, if it's reminding you of past limitations, if it's reinforcing the version of you that you're trying to outgrow, then you're not manifesting, you're managing resistance. Creating an environment that supports your dreams doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional, it's proactive. You have to design it, curate it, protect it. Start by looking at the people around you. Do they speak life into your vision? Or do they quietly plant doubt? Do they challenge you to grow? Or do they make you feel guilty for wanting more? You don't need a cheering squad, but you do need people who believe that the future you see is possible. Next, examine your physical space. Is your home, or even just the room you spend the most time in, conducive to creation, to focus to inspiration? You don't need luxury. You need alignment. Maybe it's as simple as cleaning your desk. Maybe it's creating a corner that feels sacred. Maybe it's removing things that remind you of who you used to be and replacing them with symbols of who you're becoming. Even your digital environment matters. The accounts you follow, the content you consume, the notifications you allow. All of it affects your mental and emotional state. If your phone is filled with distraction and comparison, you're feeding your brain the very things that unfollow belief. Start unsubscribing. Start making space for content that inspires, educates, uplifts, and supports your direction. And then there's your internal environment, your thought life. What kind of thoughts are you entertaining every day? Are they rooted in fear, or are they grounded in vision? Or mind is the ultimate environment, manage it, and it will default to the patterns of your past. That's why practices like journaling, meditation, or even simply pausing to reflect are so critical. They help you clean the mental clutter. They give your dream room to breathe. You can't afford to be casual about your environment. Not if you're serious about manifesting a different future, because what you allow around you, you eventually absorb. If your environment is filled with scarcity, negativity, and excuses, then no matter how hard you work, you'll always feel like you're swimming upstream. But if your environment is filled with support, with filled inspiration and accountability, your dream doesn't feel like it feels inevitable. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to wait for someone to change your environment for you. You have agency. You can start small. You can rearrange your space, shift your schedule, distance yourself from draining people, set boundaries around your time. These aren't drastic changes, they're decisions. And each one moves you closer to the version of your life where your vision is not just possible, but protected. So if you're trying to manifest something extraordinary, ask yourself this, Keel, does my environment reflect the future I want or the past I've already outgrown? And if the answer is the past, it's time to upgrade your space, your circle, and your standards. Big dreams are built with small bricks, not a weekend, not in a burst of energy. Not through one life-changing moment, but through consistent, often boring, daily habits. This is the part that gets glamorized. We love the idea of manifestation as some magical shift where the universe delivers desires on a silver platter. But manifestation isn't magic. It's motion. And the motion that matters most is the one that happens every day, not just on days when you feel inspired. Habits are the invisible architecture of your future. They quietly shape who you become. Not the ones you do once in a while, the ones you repeat or not you feel like it. Every dream you want to achieve is sitting on the other side of a routine you haven't mastered yet. That's a hard truth for people who are waiting for motivation, because motivation is inconsistent. It comes and goes. But habits don't care how you feel. They show up for you when you commit to showing up for them. We live in a world obsessed with outcomes. We want results. We want milestones. We want success that we can post about. But manifestation doesn't happen in the big moments. It happens in the small ones, the ones no one sees. It happens when you choose to write one more page, send one more email, go for one more workout, wake up 1 hour earlier, or say no to one more distraction. These moments seem insignificant in isolation, but over time, they become the compound interest of success. Habits are powerful because they create identity. You don't just do the work, you become the person who does the work. That shift is everything. When you shift your identity, manifestation becomes natural. It's no longer about effort, it's about alignment. If you want to manifest a healthy life, become the kind of person who moves daily and eats intentionally. If you want to manifest wealth, become the kind of person who manages money wisely and creates value consistently. If you want to manifest love, become the kind of person who gives love, who builds connection, who heals, who listens. The habits reinforce the identity, and the identity produces the results. That's why habits must be chosen carefully, because not all habits are equal. Some are anchors. They hold you down. They comfort you while slowly draining your potential. Others are engines. They move you forward. They're not always easy, but they're always worth it. The question isn't whether or not you have habits. You do. The real question is, do your habits reflect the person you say you want to become? This is where self-honesty becomes essential. Take inventory. Track your time. Observe your patterns. What do your mornings look like? What do your evenings look like? What are your default responses to stress, boredom, or uncertainty? Are your habits aligned to your vision or with your fear? Because every habit is either helping you manifest your dream or delaying it. But the good news is this: habits are malleable. They can be built. They can be reshaped. You're not stuck. You're just practiced. And you can retrain your practice. Start simple. Don't try to change everything at once. Change one thing that changes everything. Maybe it's the habit of waking up with purpose. Maybe it's journaling every night. Maybe it's blocking off time for focused work. Whatever it is, treat that habit like a seed. Water it, protect it, and let it grow. And over time, you'll start to notice the difference, not in what you've achieved, but in who you've become. The beauty of habits is that they compound. The effort you put in today might feel insignificant, but that repetition over weeks and months becomes unstoppable. And manifestation is momentum, and habits are what create that momentum. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Not about working harder, but showing up smarter. It's about stacking small wins until they form an unbreakable foundation. And when setbacks come, and they will, your habits become your safety net. When life throws you off course, you don't spiral. You reset. You return to your routine. That's the power of habits. They create resilience. They keep you moving even when motivation disappears. They keep your dream alive when your emotions are unstable. They give structure to chaos. They bring order to ambition. So if you're waiting for a sign, a breakthrough, a moment of clarity, start building. Ask yourself, what are the habits of the future version of me? Then reverse engineer your day around those habits. Let them shape your schedule, influence your choices, and direct your energy. Everything that is built begins in the mind first. No building was ever constructed without a blueprint. No product was ever manufactured without a design. No dream ever became reality without a vision. Visualization is not some optional feel-good exercise. It's the cornerstone of manifestation. It's the process of creating a mental prototype before the physical version exists. If you can't see it in your mind, it becomes very difficult to build it in your life. Most people underestimate the power of seeing their future in advance. They think manifestation is just about working hard, staying busy, doing more. But the truth is, action without vision is movement without direction. You might be running fast, but if you're running in circles, what's the realization point? Vision gives your energy a target. It gives your effort a purpose. It gives your choices clarity. When you visualize your dream consistently, you're training your brain to believe that it's already real. There's science behind this. When you vividly imagine yourself achieving a goal, the brain begins to create new neural pathways. It lights up the same regions as if the experience were already happening. That means your body begins to emotionally, mentally, and even physically respond as if the goal is not just possible, but present. You are rehearsing your future in advance. And you rehearse it, the more natural it becomes to act in alignment with that future. This is why elite athletes visualize themselves winning long before they step onto the field. It's why performers mentally rehearse their routines before ever stepping onto the stage. They understand that manifestation begins with seeing. They know that when the body follows, performance improves, confidence increases, and outcomes shift. So why shouldn't the same principle apply to your life? Visualization also helps you overcome fear. When you vividly picture your success, you build familiarity with it. It stops being foreign, and someday, and starts becoming on the way. Fear feeds on uncertainty. But when you've seen your success over and over again in your mind, the fear begins to lose its power. You walk into situations with more calm, more clarity, and more courage, not because you've done it before, but because you've seen it before. And visualization doesn't just involve imagining the good parts. It's about preparing for the full experience. That means seeing yourself handling challenges with grace, responding to setbacks with strength, adjusting with wisdom. When you visualize the nation, not just the destination, you're mentally equipping yourself to endure. You're building resilience ahead of time. But here's the key: visualization must be done intentionally and consistently. It's not a one-time practice. It's not something you do when you're in the mood. It's something you schedule, something you prioritize with the same level of seriousness you treat a workout or an important meeting, because it's just as critical. You're literally programming your mind for success. Take 5 minutes each morning, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, then picture your life as you want it to be. Clearly, vividly, and emotionally. What are you doing? Who are you with? How do you feel? What does your environment look like? Yourself, be there. Let your senses participate. Feel the energy, hear the sounds, embrace the moment. And then ask yourself, what action today would move me closer to this vision? That's how visualization becomes a compass, not just a comfort. Another powerful practice is to write your vision down every day, not once a year, every day. Describe it in detail. Repetition requires belief. The more you write it, the more your brain starts to accept it as truth. And once your mind buys in, your behavior will follow. Your decisions, your habits, your posture, your voice, they all begin to align with the reality you've rehearsed. Now, here's something important to understand: visualization is not a replacement for work. It's the preparation for it. It's not about sitting on a couch and daydreaming. It's about creating internal alignment so that when you work with focus, with energy, with precision. Without that clarity, it's easy to get lost in distractions, to chase what looks good instead of what feels right. But with a clear internal vision, you're anchored, you're grounded, you're moving with intention. And the more you practice visualization, the more your external world begins to reflect your internal one. That's not magic. It's the natural result of clarity plus consistent action. It's the subconscious pulling you toward the people, opportunities, and choices that match picture you've been rehearsing. And when you live in that space long enough, manifestation stops feeling like a dream and starts becoming your default. Words are not just sounds. They are signals. They are agreements you make with yourself and with the world around you. Every time you speak, you are either building your future or reinforcing your limitations. Language doesn't just describe your reality. It defines it, forms the lens you see, which see what's possible and what isn't. If you want to manifest your dreams, you have to start paying close attention to the language you use, not just publicly, but privately. Not just in what you say to others, but in what you say to yourself. The way you speak reflects what you believe, and what you believe determines what you pursue. So if your language is filled with doubt, hesitation, or excuses, that's not a communication problem. It's a belief problem. Saying, I'm trying, when you mean, I'm avoiding. Saying, I don't have time, when you mean, I haven't made it a priority. Saying, I'm just being realistic, when you mean, I'm scared to want more. These phrases seem harmless, but they create a story that keeps you small. When you keep telling yourself the same story, your brain adapts. It begins filtering your experiences through the narrative you've been repeating. So if you constantly say, I'm not good at that, your brain starts proving it to you. If you regularly say, I always mess things up, your actions begin to match your expectations. It becomes a cycle, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is where many people sabotage their dreams, not through lack of effort, but through toxic self-talk that goes unchecked. On the other hand, when you speak powerfully, intentionally, and affirmatively, something changes. You shift your posture. You step into possibility. Speaking what you seek doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means declaring your direction. It means aligning your words with your vision. Saying, I am becoming, instead of, I hope one day. Saying, I am learning how, instead of, I'm just not that type of person. These subtle shifts matter. They train your mind to recognize growth rather than fixate on limitation. One of the most effective ways to rewire your inner dialogue is through daily affirmations. Not generic ones you find online, but personalized affirmations that speak directly to the life you're building. Write them in the present tense. Speak them out loud. Look yourself in the mirror and say them like you mean them. At first, it might feel awkward, forced, but the more you repeat them, the more they become. And over time, your subconscious begins to adapt to your new language. But this isn't just about positive thinking. It's about intentional speaking. Your words carry weight. They create energy. They influence not just how you feel, but how others respond to you. When you speak from conviction, people listen differently. Opportunities open. Doors unlock. Not because of magic, but because clarity is magnetic. The clearer you are about what you want and where you're going, the more aligned your actions and interactions become. It also works in reverse. Be careful not only of what you say, but of what you allow to be said around you. Your environment includes the voices you listen to. If you're surrounded by negativity, sarcasm, cynicism, or gossip, those words seep into your mind. They begin to shape your mood, your beliefs, your standards. That's why it's so important to guard your language and to guard your circle. Speak life and surround yourself with others who do the same. And remember, speaking what you seek doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to lead your thoughts rather than be led by them. It means reframing failure as feedback. It means using empowering language even when the outcome is uncertain. Saying, I'm figuring it out, instead of I'm lost. Saying this is a challenge instead of this is impossible. This isn't delusion. This is discipline. You're always narrating your life, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what kind of story are you telling? A story of limitation or a story of transformation? Your words shape your identity. They anchor your values. They steer your focus. So if you want to manifest something extraordinary, start with the most powerful tool you already have, your voice. Every word you speak is either an investment in your dream or a withdrawal from it. So speak with intention. Speak with clarity. Speak with belief. And let your language become the bridge between where you are and where you're going with love in a results-driven world. We are taught to chase achievements, to measure our worth by outcomes, and to define success by what we can show, not by what we grow. But manifestation, true manifestation, doesn't operate within that framework. It is not about clinging to a specific outcome with desperate attachment. It is about releasing the need to control the when and how, while committing relentlessly to the what and why. Detachment from the outcome is not apathy, it's maturity. It's understanding that your job is to show up, not to dictate the timing or the form in which your dream unfolds. When you become obsessed with the outcome, you often sabotage the process. You start forcing things. You start comparing your journey to someone else's. You rush, you stress, you panic when things don't look the way you expected them to. And that energy, impatience, fear, pressure, creates resistance. Instead of attracting what you want, you push it away. Manifestation is about being in alignment, and nothing pulls you out of alignment faster than the anxiety trying to control everything. The process, on the other hand, is where the magic happens. The process is where you grow, where you learn, where you become the kind of person who is ready for what you want. Because getting what you want too soon can be just as damaging as not getting it at all. If you skip the process, you skip the preparation. And manifestation without preparation is just fantasy. When you stay connected to the process, you shift from a mindset of desperation to a mindset of discipline. You begin to ask different questions. Instead of asking, when will it happen? You ask, who am I becoming in this process? Instead of saying, why is it taking so long? You say, what am I being prepared for? The questions change because the focus changes. You're no longer just chasing results. You're building capacity. And capacity is the foundation for sustainable success. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust. You trust that what you've asked for is already being aligned. You trust that the actions you're taking are meaningful even when the results aren't immediate. You trust that your growth is not wasted just because it's not visible yet. And that trust gives you peace. It gives you focus. It gives you the endurance to keep going when things don't happen as fast as you hoped. Here's the paradox: when you stop obsessing over the outcome, you actually become more powerful. You're no longer weighed down by fear. You're no longer paralyzed by perfectionism. You're free to experiment, to learn, to iterate, to adjust. You're not chasing your dream from a place of lack, but from a place of confidence. And that energy is contagious. People feel it. Opportunities respond to it. The world opens up to those who are grounded in process and detached from pressure. Staying connected to the process also teaches you resilience, because not every day will feel productive. Not every step will feel significant. But when you commit to showing up anyway, you start to build something much more valuable than success. You build character. You develop grit. You learn patience. And these qualities serve you not just in this one goal, but in everything else you'll pursue in life. This is what separates those who manifest as from those who merely wish. Wishers want things to happen. Manifestors work for things to happen, but they do so with grace, with trust, and with emotional balance. They don't spiral when results are delayed. They don't quit when the evidence isn't obvious. They keep planting seeds. They keep watering the soil. They keep cultivating the ground. And eventually, the harvest comes, not because they forced it, because they stayed faithful to the process. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the obsession with how it will unfold. Let go of the need for everything to look perfect before you feel satisfied. Your peace is too valuable to be tied to something you can't control. Focus on what you can control: your effort, your attitude, your discipline, your growth. Because in the end, those are the real tools of manifestation. So show up daily. Take the action, speak the vision, visualize the outcome, and then release it. Let the process do what the process is designed to do: evolve you. Because if you evolve into the person who's ready for the dream has no choice but to meet you. There's a reason why the most successful, fulfilled, and impactful people practice gratitude. Not as a formality, not as a fleeting emotional high, but as a way of living. Gratitude is not just a nice thing to feel. It is a frequency, a mindset, a state of being that aligns your heart and mind with the abundance that already exists and draws in more of it. Gratitude is the fuel of manifestation. Without it, we're always chasing. With it, we're attracting. Manifestation begins with belief, but is sustained by appreciation. Because when you live in gratitude, you begin to realize that you are already enough, you already have enough, and you are already on your way. That doesn't mean you stop dreaming bigger. It means you stop dreaming from a place of lack. You stop saying, I'll be happy when, and you start saying, I'm grateful now, and I'm excited for what's next. That shift changes everything. It changes the tone of your thoughts, the language you speak, and the actions you take. When you're constantly focused on what you don't have, what you're missing, what isn't working, you're operating from scarcity. And scarcity closes doors. It narrows your vision. It causes stress, jealousy, and frustration. But when you focus on what you do have, no matter how small, you create expansion. You open your mind to possibilities. You begin to notice opportunities you previously overlooked. You become more resourceful, more creative, and more content, even while you strive for more. Gratitude doesn't require perfection. It simply requires perspective. Even in your toughest seasons, there's always something to be thankful for. The lesson, the strength, the breath in your lungs, the people who believe in you, the fact that you're still here. Gratitude doesn't deny pain. It transforms it. It says, this is hard, but I'm still growing. It says, this isn't what I wanted, but maybe it's what I needed. That kind of perspective gives you power. It keeps your spirit grounded even when life feels unstable. Here's the truth. Most people miss you cannot manifest from a place of desperation. You can't call in abundance while constantly feeling like you're not enough. Gratitude corrects that. It reminds you that your worth is not measured by your progress or your possessions. It's intrinsic. It's already here. And when you believe that, your energy changes. You stop begging and start attracting. You stop chasing and start creating. You move with intention, not fear. Gratitude is also deeply practical. It improves your relationships, sharpens your focus, and boosts your emotional well-being. People are drawn to those who radiate gratitude. Why? Because it feels safe. It feels inspiring. It feels real. No one wants to follow someone who's always complaining, but they will rally behind someone who sees the good, even in the struggle. That kind of person becomes magnetic, not because they have all the answers, but because they have the right attitude. The most powerful part, gratitude multiplies what you focus on. If you wake up and focus on stress, you'll find more stress. If you wake up and focus on lack, you'll see it everywhere. But if you start your day focused on what's good, what's working, what you're thankful for, you begin to train your brain to look for more of it. That's not wishful thinking. That's neuroscience. Your brain filters your reality based on what it believes is important. And gratitude helps you recalibrate what's truly important. Start small. Begin each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Not just the obvious things. Go deeper. Find gratitude in the little moments. A kind word, a warm meal, a lesson learned, a goal you didn't quit on. Say them out loud. Feel them fully. Make it a daily ritual, not a once, in a well thought. Gratitude is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And over time, it becomes your default operating system. And don't just keep it to yourself. Express your gratitude. Tell people you appreciate them. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge progress. The more you express it, the more you amplify it, you begin to create a culture of gratitude, not just internally, but around you. And in that environment, dreams don't just grow, they thrive. If you want to manifest abundance, you have to feel abundant first, not someday. Now, gratitude is the doorway to that feeling. It's the shift from I need to I have. From I'm not there yet to look how far I've come. From what if I fail to I'm grateful I tried. And that shift doesn't just change your mood, it changes your momentum. It realigns you with everything you've been working for. Manifestation isn't magic. It's alignment. It's the daily discipline of choosing thoughts that serve your vision, beliefs that empower your progress, and actions that reflect your purpose. Your dreams don't need luck. They need clarity. They need commitment. They need a mindset that understands that while you may not control every outcome, you always control your intention and your effort. You weren't given a vision to sit idle. You were given it to move, to rise, to stretch, to grow into it. And that growth is not something that happens by wishing. It happens by showing up, by choosing consistency over comfort, by speaking life over limitation, by embracing the process, trusting the timing, and expressing gratitude every single step of the way. The future you dream of is already waiting for you. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the when is determined by how you show up today. Not perfectly, but fully, authentically, courageously. Manifestation is not about sitting back and hoping. It's about stepping forward and becoming. The moment you truly believe your dream is possible, you stop waiting for signs, and you start becoming the sign, the proof, the example. Because your dream isn't just about you. It's about who you inspire when you pursue it. It's about what you unlock in others when you refuse to settle. So start now, not tomorrow, not when it feels easy. Start with what you have, where you are, and who you are. You're more ready than you think. And the life you're imagining, it's not a fantasy. It's a future waiting for your permission to exist.